This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Deciding which credit card or loan is right for you is like trying to choose where you want to eat for dinner. Except when you finally get to the restaurant, the menu's riddled with jargon that no average foodie could understand. So at Credit Karma, we keep things simple. We show you personalized recommendations that align with your money goals and help you turn the confusing fine print into terms you can actually understand. And as a cherry on top, we provide a detailed overview for a new card or loan before you apply. That way, we can help you make decisions faster and with more confidence. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
With Uber Reserve, you can book your Uber ride in advance, 90 days in advance. Perfect for all you forward thinkers and planning gurus. Reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. Uber Reserve. See Uber app for details.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. Hey, what's going on, Ram fans? I have another Rappin' with a Ram fan session here. This one's going to be a little bit different, though. I've had Scott Richmond on before, and I have him back here today. What's going on, Scott?
Not much. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked. I want to say it's been at least, we haven't talked since before the season started, I think.
Yeah, summertime probably. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Scott reached out to me, and he has been a little bit disappointed, flabbergasted, I don't know what the right word is, with all the negative talk about the Rams, especially with respect to their defense. And he asked me if he could come on and try to give a different perspective on how this team has played, specifically the defense. And he thinks there's been a lot of Ram fans on various platforms, not this one, but Facebook, I guess, Facebook groups and such, that he thinks have been overly negative, and he wanted to come on and provide some pushback on that thought process. Did I kind of capture that correctly, Scott?
I think so, yes. Mm-hmm.
So take it away for us. What do you have to say about this Ram defense and how Ram fans have perceived this defense and how well or how poorly they've played?
I think it's a little misunderstood because if you just want to look at the overall performance of the defense, I think fans I think they're fair in saying that, hey, it hasn't been good. I mean, they've been ranked close to the bottom overall in run defense and pass defense through the first 4 or 5 games. And, a lot of the injuries were not on the defense. So you can contribute it to the loss of Aaron Donald, Coach Shula being a first year coordinator, but their run defense has been 20 right now. After beating the Vikings, they're sitting at 27th in the league, giving up about 4.6 yards per carry. And it seems like every game fans are saying, oh, the middle linebackers are horrible. The defensive coordinator's got to go. So the issue with the middle linebackers is the Rams, with this coach, with this coordinator, with this head coach, with this front office going back 6-7 years, they never have valued the middle linebacker position. So with that said, it seems to be a position they've always just won as a cleanup position. They just don't have a lot of expectations for playmaking from that position. They just need, it's in my opinion, I would say they just need to be able to be there in space. And if there's a ball carrier coming across the line of scrimmage, make the tackle. If they're in zone pass coverage, if a ball carrier catches the ball, bring them down. They don't have a lot of expectations from that position. That's the lowest paid position on the team, pretty much. Ernest Jones is the highest round draft pick in the last 7-8 years, I think, at that position. And then he didn't even work out. So
Yeah, and we'll never really know. Well, I don't think we'll ever really know what happened there. That was really kind of strange. There's rumors, Andrew Whitworth has piped in about that he wasn't the best linebacker on the roster anymore. I've heard that he wasn't all in on the program early in, the training camp. Maybe a cultural thing going on as far as how he's fitting in with the way McVay likes to run things. I don't know, but I thought he certainly was a very good player, and now he's gone. And now we get to play against him, actually.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Talking about that run defense, I would tell people that there's two things going on. It's just not the middle linebackers. It's the middle linebackers getting taken out of plays by interior offensive linemen. They're not being protected. The Rams have been running a 3-4 defense, and in my opinion, they're running it without the right personnel. They're trying to run it with defensive tackles that are smaller in size, more or less 3 technique guys with the rookie
Braden Fisk,
and with
Tyler Davis has been in there a little bit.
Tyler Davis, he's probably the best of those 3, but with the other 91,
Kobe Turner.
With Kobe Turner, those guys playing a defensive end position in a 3-4. I don't think that's prototypical. That's not preferable if I was running the defense. But the big thing is they don't have a prototypical nose tackle helping to protect the middle linebackers. I mean, Bobby Brown, I think he's just not, I don't think he's the right fit for this defense. There's too many times on running plays where he's either taken out of the play very easily or he's completely out of position. That's where I think I can think of an example. A lot of people complain that the middle linebackers were horrible after the Bears beat us, and specifically when their running back, I think, ran for like a 38 yard touchdown run in the third quarter.
Right.
And I pointed out to people, I said, if you rewatch that, the center Coleman Shelton was able to release immediately after snapping the ball right up field and took out, I think, Rosaboom out of the play. And that's exactly where the running back went, all the way to the end zone. And I say doesn't matter who you have middle linebacker. If your defensive line is not protecting the middle linebackers, plays like that are going to happen. So it's been consistent the first 5-6 games that the middle linebackers, when they're not being taken out, their performance is average. They're bringing down ball carriers. Sometimes they're missing tackles, and that's fair. But most of the time, they're not even able to do their job because they don't have I don't think they have the correct personnel in the defensive line. Now, against the Minnesota Vikings recently, I think I saw a marked improvement over over the performance of the defensive line protecting the linebackers. They didn't get taken out as much. And I think that's why from the first quarter on, the defense was much better in stopping the run. I think they only gave up, 64 or 66 yards for the game. Much improved in that regard.
So, what you're, in a nutshell, you're saying that the inside linebackers, Roseboom and Rader were primarily talking about, have played average, and the perception that they have played really poorly is really due to the fact that the defensive line, namely guys like Bobby Brown and the smaller sized guys we're asking to play on the interior, are not eating up tackles. Not eating up blocks, exposing our inside linebackers, and that's the root of the problem. Does that kind of summarize your position there?
Yes, not all the time. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. Sometimes the middle linebackers have missed tackles, but not to the extent that it would overhaul the defense and make them, people think they can replace the middle linebackers and all of a sudden this defense will become a top 10 defense.
Right. And I would go so far as to...
That's not it.
Yeah, I'd go so far as to say, probably going to take some heat from this, but I think I could defend it given a couple hours to do some research, is, you point out that the Rams, don't value the inside linebacker position. That's kind of a true of their entire history. I mean, they've had some good inside linebackers, but if there's two positions, I've always said if there's two positions the Rams, don't necessarily hang their hat on, it's tight end and inside linebacker. You want to talk running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line. Yeah, the Rams are, top three historically at those positions. Secondary, kind of hit or miss. But inside linebacker, we had Jack Reynolds for a few years, and then he left. And, Jim Youngblood, Isaiah Robertson, James Laurinaitis. But, not a lot of it. And we go way back. I'm not going to remember their names. In the late 50s, early 60s, we had a couple of guys. But, in the last 30, 40 years, it's not a position that, it's not, Mel Owens, guys like that, just kind of okay linebackers. So it's kind of strange how that works out with a franchise where, certain positions, just okay. And then other positions, just marching guys into the Hall of Fame every 10 years.
Correct.
So now, if the Rams were to improve this defense now, what do you propose they do? I mean, we got the trade deadline coming up November 5th. Do you
correct.
think
I think the only thing that they could really improve this season would possibly be on the back end in the pass defense, with maybe improving the cornerback position.
So not nose tackle though?
I'm not too sure if there would be anybody available.
Yeah, I know Paul has talked about a couple of guys. I forget his name. The guy on the Cleveland Browns. Someone mentioned Greg Gaines. So there are guys that maybe. But go ahead. You're talking on the back end secondary.
Yeah, that could be. I haven't looked into those players yet. But as far as pass defense, it looks like the Rams could be putting Tre'Davious White on the trading block, possibly.
Correct.
And trading him, and looking at some of the teams that could be in the market to sell could be. I noticed that on the Eagles, Eli Ricks is buried on the depth chart. He's like second or third string at one of the cornerback positions. He seemed to be a very high value player coming out, and he already has a couple of years experience, so that I think there would be some good value there. Player that I liked coming out last year was Carrington Valentine on the Packers. He's second string with the Packers, though with them being a front runner in the NFC North, I'm not too sure if they'd be willing to let anybody go. There's Roger McCreary from the Titans, who has a couple years experience and was pretty highly rated. I think he can play both. He can play cornerback on the perimeter and also in a slot.
And the Titans appear to be a team that's looking to sell,
yes,
as they already have.
Yeah, and then there's the Panthers with Mike Jackson, who came over from the Seahawks. He has some great experience. He could be a benefit and add some good experience to the secondary.
Yeah, and it's I was looking at how the Rams are deploying their secondary. Josh Wallace is getting not a lot, but he's getting some playing time, and as in Jalen McCullough. Akilla Witherspoon, interestingly. Now, Trey White did not play at all. I think he was inactive, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yet Akilla Witherspoon only played 9 snaps against the Vikings. And I thought that was an interesting development. And that's a big drop from the previous week. I'll have to go back and look at the numbers, which would suggest, Kobe Durant and Darius Williams, I think, are playing really well. Then you got Josh Wallace, they probably could use some help at that position, especially if they're only going to get Witherspoon out there for 9 snaps.
Yeah, I think if they're going to play a lot more man-to-man, I think they need some help. I think Witherspoon, I would bet that those 9 snaps were mostly zone. I think he's better in zone coverage than he is man. I could be wrong. I can't remember exactly the plays where he was in on. But he did help pass.
Pardon?
He did help defend one pass off the right sideline, about a 15-yard pass downfield, I remember.
Yeah. So, interesting. And now, as far as Trey White goes, I don't think how much value he has on the trade market. I made the joke with my Paul and Ian that, the way the Rams have been rolling, they're going to flip a 7th rounder to the 6th round in 2029 is what they're going to do. I just don't think if he can't get on the field for the Rams, I can't see him being a big, so other teams just chomping at the bit to add Tre'Davious White. And that's kind of a bummer. We had high hopes that, he was going to return to his old form, and maybe he eventually will, but the Rams just aren't willing to go that direction right now and leaning on the younger guys.
Yeah, and talking about coverage, I don't know if you noticed it, but I noticed that the Rams went from, the Vikings marched the ball down the field there twice in a row,
right?
To go up 14-7. Rams switched from, they were playing zone coverage heavily on those first couple drives. In the second quarter, at some point, they switched to man-to-man coverage. And it seems when they did that, things kind of changed. If you notice, the Vikings were, on those first 2 drives, they were pretty much doing what they wanted on first down. And the Rams never really got into long down and distance to where the pass rush would have any effect. But the Vikings made a couple of offensive penalties on those 3rd and 4th drives where it kind of put him long down and distance. And I don't know if the man-to-man coverage helped out or not, but that's when the pass rush started to have some effect in the second quarter. So I noticed that they did the man-to-man, staying in the man-to-man coverage really helped going into the second half. And
well, at the beginning of the game, the Vikings' first 2 drives, Sam Darnold was just sitting back there in the pocket. He had all the time in the world. Our pass rush, we were just not getting there. And then that kind of changed as the game moved along. And then when Darisaw went down, it was kind of all over as far as Darnold standing in the pocket. That was a big difference in the second half.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by Opill, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opill is FDA approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opill. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opill at Opill.com.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how much of those first two drives were on the secondary or on the lack of a pass rush or a combination of the two. Ian will probably be throwing out some film studies on that very subject. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with.
I think some of those, I think they got more predictable when it got to be second and long and third and long, where those first couple of drives, they were able to do whatever they wanted on first down. And I think that's what really hurts the defense. You know, when teams are getting 5 to 8 yards on first down, it really leaves their playbook open for any short pass, medium or long pass. And that's where they just got killed. But they were able to turn it around, which was very exciting. That brings up a point. I wanted to bring up something about Jalen McCullough. You know, we do a lot of pre-draft coverage of players, and Jalen McCullough, I think, is somebody I left out. It's somebody that I did some research on last year, but I didn't put him in any of my mock drafts because what's interesting is he had a lot of play at Tennessee. He played 3 to 4 seasons, a lot of experience. He was highly rated on PFF. He was one of the highest rated safeties. But what happened one night, he got arrested, and somebody when he was home one night, somebody entered the apartment complex and entered his room by mistake. The guy was trying to re-enter somebody else's apartment. He entered Jalen's apartment by mistake, and it just totally startled him. And Jalen, you know, got him out of his apartment and even took him down the hall and ended up, I think, I guess in self-defense. I mean, I think he punched him, I think.
Yeah, fisticuffs.
Yeah, he got punched. And so he got arrested because of that. And that really brought his draft stock down. He missed a couple of games. He ended up getting cleared. And then when the Rams picked him up as a free agent, I was double thumbs up, you know. I was all
right.
excited.
Yeah, and he has certainly, you know, it kind of eases the pain of maybe we missed on Cam Kitchens. Remains to be seen. Maybe he'll reemerge as a decent player. But the fact that McCullough is playing well, really excited about him.
Yes. So talking about that run defense and the 3-4 scheme, what I would be suggesting if there was no other improvements by the end of the season, that a couple of positions that I would like to see improved would be nose tackle. I would like to get a better, more athletic inside linebacker.
So are we talking draft here or free agency or both? Primarily the draft?
I would be talking off-season draft.
Okay.
Free agency is a little bit of a gray area to me.
Right. Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no problem. So as far as nose tackle, there are two players that I think that could really bolster this defensive line, and that would be Deion Walker from Kentucky. He's 6'6", 345. He could definitely play the nose in this 3-4 and help protect those inside linebackers. My second choice would be Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. He's 6'3", 337. He would be just a bowling ball of a guy to put there in the middle. Both these guys are potentially second round draft picks, so the Rams would probably have to either, trade down from their first round position or trade up from the third round to get one of those. But I think those two would be a great fix for the nose tackle position. And I don't remember if Bobby Brown's a free agent after this year, but I think I'm done with the Bobby Brown experiment at nose tackle. Inside linebacker, I think we can draft and improve the position without having to overutilize draft capital, which the Rams don't want to do. They don't want to pay a high salary to the position. They don't want to use high draft capital. I think there are 3 players that can be had in either the 3rd or 4th round. One is a Jackson Woodard from UNLV. He's a transfer, I believe, from Arkansas, and he is a bit of an unknown. He's a pretty highly rated player. He's 6'3", 230. I think he would be a definite upgrade athletically over Reeder and Rosaboom. Another player that's a bit under the radar right now is Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. He's 6'2", 230. Looking at his 40 time, he's kind of pedestrian. He's like 4.65 to 4.70 in the 40, but he's one of those guys that's very highly athletic. He's like in the top 3% athletic score at that position. And the last one would be Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. He's 6'3", 240. He has good speed. He runs a 4.5 40, and he's projected to go somewhere in the 4th round. I think any one of these 3 players would definitely improve the inside backer position without the Rams having to overspend, so to speak, or spend more than they like for that position. And cornerbacks, I still think the Rams are a bit I don't think they have the players that I prefer. I like players that are at least 6 foot, have a good they're long, have a good long reach, can play the run from those outside positions, physical. One of my favorite players would be Tommy Hill out of Nebraska. He's 6 foot, 205. He can play inside, he can play outside. He has a great nose for the ball. He's been a returner in the return game. He also played a little bit of receiver a few years ago. He could possibly be available in the 4th round. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, great size, 6 foot, 190. He's played both man coverage and zone coverage. He's projected to be a 3rd round. Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame, 6 foot, 200. He runs a 4.4 40. He's got some speed to him. He's projected to go in the 4th round. And one thing I like about all these guys is that they have a quarterback rating. When targeted, they have a quarterback rating of 60 or less. That is pretty good. That's like in the top 25% of all cornerbacks. So that is something that I look for in a quarterback, and I think any one of those 3 would bolster the Rams' cornerback room.
Here's a question for you. Last year, the Rams traded up to number 39 overall pick in the 2nd round and drafted Braden Fisk. We all love that pick. Looks like he's going to be a solid contributor to this defense. The pick before that, you talk about big nose tackles and what this defense is perhaps lacking. The pick before him was Tavondre Sweat, the giant defensive tackle out of Texas.
Yes.
Would you have rather the Rams traded up and drafted him?
That's something I wanted. I think that's what one of the drafts that you, me, and we did one with our friend from back east.
Paul Walia. Right.
Yeah. I think I did a trade up, and I think I took an edge rusher early, and then I traded up to get Tavondre Sweat. So that's one of my favorite players of last year's draft.
Yeah, and I think he's playing really well for the Cowboys. And that the thing about Sweat, and the reason I maybe was not as excited as I should have been about him is that he's probably a 2-down player. And, the Rams don't typically draft these giant nose tackles. They haven't had a guy that size in forever. But maybe that is what this defense, hey, if he's going to only play first and second down, this defense would be in pretty good shape if that resulted in a 3rd and 7.
Yes.
We weren't giving up these big runs. Now that's a dude that is going to eat up some blocks for sure. And no slight on Braden Fisk. Braden Fisk brings us something a little bit different. I think he brings a much better pass rush than someone like Sweat is going to bring. But it definitely, that is what we're lacking, a big nose tackle like that to protect the linebackers like you talked about earlier. But I don't know that the Rams could have traded up for him. I mean, they traded up to the 39th, and they probably overpaid. Well, they definitely overpaid if you go by the draft value charts. And I don't really care about that. If you love a player, go get him. But
sure.
Could they have made
if they end up with a top 10 defense in the next season or two? It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, and this defense is, especially the outside linebackers, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner. There's a lot of promise here, a lot of promise for this defense moving forward, I think.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. Anything else you want to add? I guess the main thing from talking to you before, you just really wanted to, I know you've been chattering with some Ram fans on platforms, and this is a good forum for you to get it off your chest and have your moment, have your say. And actually, hey, if you're watching this channel, I've laid it out. If you want any Ram fan, if you got something to say and you can talk intelligently about a subject, send me an email, man. We'll see if we can get you on, especially the Rapping with Ram Fan sessions. Those are always fun. You don't need to know anything about X's and O's to be on one of those. We just talk your love of Ram football, and it's always a lot of fun. So, so what else, Paul? Scott, is that all you got?
I just wanted to maybe switch over to the offensive side of the ball and talk about tight ends. I believe that I was a bit disappointed after the Packers loss. I thought Colby Parkinson, had 3 or 4 targets where none of the passes were completed to him. It seems like defenders were draped all over him. Didn't seem like there was any separation. Even with Tyler Higbee probably coming back this year and considering Higbee's age, I think I would like to see some an improvement at that position. I think through the draft, there's a couple of players that could be within the Rams' reach. And I don't know if you saw the performance. Tyler Warren from Penn State. He's
I did see that
against USC. I mean, he had a couple hundred yards in catch.
Yeah, it was actually really annoying watching that game. That dude was just, I mean, can we just put 2 people on him and take him away completely?
Yeah, he's I was watching a Penn State game yesterday, and they had him. They were in the red zone. They were within the 5-yard line, and they had him as a Wildcat quarterback, and he was a quarterback in high school. So boy, that really gives you a coordinator some options. A guy 6'6", 257 playing Wildcat quarterback who can throw and run. So I really like his ability to be put in as an inline or a move tight end in the Rams offense. One guy I've really liked is, even though the Brock Bowers was drafted by the Raiders out of Georgia, I mean, his teammate Oscar Delp, I really like. I think he does a lot of the dirty work for Georgia, but he's still very athletic. He's 6'5", 245. I think he could be an improvement over the second and third string tight end that we have now. A third guy that I like is the kid from Iowa, Luke Lachey. He's 6'6", 247. Very athletic. He's just not, I think he's underutilized in the Iowa offense. They got a quarterback named McNamara he's playing better. Last year, their quarterback play was just horrible, and I even think some receivers even transferred out of their system because of it. But Luke Lachey, Iowa, I like Oscar Delp and Tyler Warren. I think if the Rams could get any one of those three in the draft, I think that would be an improvement to see some improved pass targets from that position going forward to get some better separation from defenders.
And the thing about the Rams tight ends is, I was trying to look up something here real quick to share. The problem with the Rams tight ends is they're all, Davis Allen apparently can't block very well. Colby Parkinson really can't gain separation, and as big as he is, has been disappointing as far as breaking tackles, getting extra yards after the catch. And Hunter Long is kind of like the wild card. I don't think we have seen enough of Hunter Long the Rams probably have seen enough of him in game preps and such. But I'm kind of disappointed that he hasn't gotten more looks, and he's starting to get a little bit. He's starting to get some more snaps. Had at least one reception last week. I think he maybe has 3 receptions on the whole year. So I'd like to see more of him. I'm not saying he's the answer at tight end long term, but he's a guy that I think is definitely underutilized. Just like to see more of him.
I agree. I think I would like to see more. Tight end position is one of those enigmas with the Rams. I just never know what. I'm always guessing as to what Sean McVay looks for at that position.
Yeah, well, the past 2 drafts he has tried to draft. Last season, it was last draft he wanted to draft Brock Bowers apparently, and the draft before that, the rumors are he was trying to trade up to draft. I think it was Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid, yes.
And he supposedly, when he came over from Washington, that was his shtick was tight ends, and we had Gerald Everett, who was pretty good. Everett and Higbee, got it done. What I was looking up there, well, you mentioned the tight end from Iowa, and I wanted to make sure I got this right. They're basically tight end university, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
George Kittle and a bunch of other guys. I don't have the names here.
Laporta.
Yeah, so you can, maybe that's a good thing. One box to check, tight end from Iowa. You're probably onto something. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing at tight end. They have to be a little disappointed with Colby Parkinson, because we all thought he was going to be a big red zone target, and we saw them try to go to him twice on 3rd and 4th down a couple weeks ago, and that didn't work. So maybe it's Hunter Long time, because he's the one guy that, as just a Rams fan, I don't know enough about Hunter Long yet, and I'd like to see more of him.
Yeah, I thought that, going even back to the Super Bowl when we had the tight end, the young
Bryson Hopkins.
Bryson Hopkins. I thought he did everything that was asked of him in the Super Bowl. And then the next season, it's just like he's back to like 2nd or 3rd string. I thought he had the most upside as far as speed, running routes. And it just seems like there must have been something about his work habits that McVay didn't like, because he just hardly ever. He only got the opportunity if Tyler Higbee went down.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure last time I looked, it's probably been, I check in on our ex-Rams to see where they're at, what they're doing. I don't think he ever got signed even for a training camp. I think he remained a free agent.
Oh wow!
And it's also surprising as far as what you mentioned, because he's the son of a great NFL player. So, and that's another thing the Rams tend to draft is players that have dads that were coaches, dads that were players and such. But it didn't work out for Bryson Hopkins, unfortunately.
Yes.
And it didn't work out for Jacob Harris either, who I think last I looked was still on the Eagles roster, perhaps not anymore. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he might have to go back to soccer.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So did you get enough off your chest for one episode
yes.
here? Yeah, good stuff. And, Paul has been, when the Rams were struggling there mightily before this 2-game winning streak, we were jokingly talking about starting to look at the draft. And we have held off from doing that, but I don't think it's ever too early. At least talk about some guys, start developing a list of players the Rams might be interested in. So we'll see what happens. I have a feeling, my gut feeling is that they're going to make a move for a player along the front, the defensive front, maybe a small move, maybe a big move. But hopefully, I prefer that they didn't give up a high draft pick for a so-called impact player, a big-time move, but just another guy to rotate in and maybe give up a 4th or 5th round pick, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Be all for that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Scott.
Protect those inside linebackers.
Yeah. And because you're right. I think, trading for an inside linebacker isn't necessarily going to solve the problem, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Scott, good stuff. Thanks a lot. And we'll get you back on later on if there's ever anything you want to talk to me about, or any of you other Ram fans, if you're up to it, send me an email, get you on, talk Rams football. Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, out here. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.